Hello from San Francisco on Tuesday, February 21st, 2012. This is Brian Madden, and you're listening to Brian and Gabe and Jack live.
Wow, that is a lot of energy you have right there.
Well, what happened was we moved the show back a few hours in order to make it more accommodating for those of us connecting from the West Coast, and I've adjusted. So now it has become that 10 o'clock is now still early for me, though not as early as 8. I hear a lot of background fuzz. Is that is that Claudio?
Yeah.
That is the sound of Canada.
That's it.
So our guest today is Claudio Rodriguez, joining us from Canada. I don't think we have to be more specific than that. So Claudio, thanks for joining.
He's not in Vancouver, Calgary, or Toronto. So he's in the other one.
He's in the rest, the other one. Yeah.
But I don't even know where Calgary is.
Okay, so Ron, so today's topic, I know Claudio, you've got, so first of all, Claudio, do we have you for the whole hour?
Maybe for half an hour, 45 minutes.
Okay, so let's talk to you first, and then Ron Oglesby, his comment's awesome. It says, let's hear Jack rail against Microsoft licensing. It's fun to see the next generation bitch about the 20-year-old licensing model. So I love that we have been able to pass that torch on about how asinine the Microsoft licensing is. And Jack, you discovered it was actually more asinine than we had previously thought.
Yes, indeed. And it also, in this article, I got in a VDI versus terminal server paragraph.
Oh, man. So you're all over these.
It's right there.
All right, great. So that'll be the second half of the show today. I knew that Claudio was a guest about 2 minutes ago when I walked in and I saw there's a little screen for Claudio on our recording thing. So
So the backstory behind that is this morning I signed into my email this morning at about 9:30 in the morning because I was up until 2 o'clock last night working on some stuff. And there's an email from Claudio talking about a solution that he put in place for a very small customer, a very small business that is like 2 or 3 seats of VDI. An actual, like, they own the server, they own everything. And I thought, man, we should talk about this in the show because I know that's something, Brian, that's one of your soapboxes. Like, why the hell would you want to do that? But then, Claudio seems to stand behind this decision to actually have this kind of product. So I thought, what the hell? Let's bring Claudio on, and Claudio can also, if we get to the Microsoft licensing, Claudio's been around for a long time, so he can deal with that too.
So what was the deal, Claudio? You wanted to figure out how can we make a solutions even smaller than 2x, and what do you call this now? Like, is this 1x? What is this? Half x.
Yes, that's it.
So you did.
Here's
the
deal. I started work.
Well, hopefully he's not connecting over his now small VDI connection. I don't know where he is right now. I think he's not at home with the regular connection. He said that he's going to be connecting over the 3G.
I think it sounded like he was in a food court at a shopping mall.
I thought that he was at a hockey game. All right, well, Claudio, Justin said that he dropped. All right, so maybe we'll get him back. But I wonder, let's talk about this, though.
The idea here is that, I mean, so he had this small business. It was just a friend of his, really. It wasn't really a client, but it was a small business that had, it was 2 or 3 users. And so he decided he likened it to a mall kiosk. I'm not sure if it actually was a mall kiosk thing, but they wanted to be able to access their desktops from anywhere. They wanted to not have to worry about it out in the field. They wanted to keep it all, back in one location. And they wanted to, have some of those features of VDI. So what he did is he just bought a really lightweight server that just had some mirrored drives, and then he used ESXi and Zen Desktop Express and brought up a very, very small VDI environment. Is Claudio back? Oh, yeah, okay. He's going to dial in, it looks like, if you have that number, Justin.
On the telephone. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Cool. So he rolled this small VDI out for these people, and I asked him. I said, why wouldn't you go with 2Cloud or Desktoner or something like that? And he said that there was a pride of ownership aspect of this. Like they wanted to have their own solution. They wanted to they wanted to manage it. They were doing backups and stuff. They had a file store that was on a NAS, and they wanted to do backups. They're using Dropbox for that, so that stuff is stored offline. So that even if the VDI environment goes down because it's only on one server, they can still access the information from anywhere.
So why do you need? I mean, I don't understand why they don't just buy 3 desktops and use remote desktop, RDP software or Windows. Like it seems to me that you got 3 $400 desktops, so $1,200, and I don't know, just log me in, and there you go, and you can still run Dropbox and all these things.
Yeah, I don't know, and that's why we wanted to have him on, because I knew that you have some special issues with all of this. You've gone out so far as to say, like, what is it, 10,000 and under? You should outsource it.
Yeah, for sure. Because I just don't believe that anyone can do it better than, well, I guess it depends on what your goals are. If you're trying to do it based on cost or trying to do it based on flexibility or whatever. And Justin is waving at me as you're saying, you there, Claudio? He's super quiet. Do you have volume on your phone? What's his what's his
This
gain?
is what we get for bringing in Canadian everything. Everything else we've done
Justin,
is from the
look
US.
at the gain on him.
Yeah, it's up too.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It looks like it's off. Wait.
Try now, Claudio.
I can't hear it at all.
Are you talking? Bring the gain up more for. All right, now try Claudio.
Well, we can edit this part out of the podcast.
Sorry, live listeners. If we get Claudio back, we can go into that. Let's just listen to Jack bitch about Microsoft.
Segment 2, Jack bitching about Microsoft. All right, so Jack, bring it on. So what was your article this week?
Well, my article was, Microsoft licensing for VDA and for Office is a pain, and pain isn't the original word that I had in there, but I figured it'd be a few more years before I earn the right to use swear words in article titles.
But your title would have been Microsoft. The original title was like Microsoft has us over a barrel, and they are fucking us horribly, and we're taking it because that's the only way we can get our desktops. And here's why. That was your first title, I guess, right?
Right. And because, so 4 months ago, 3 or 4 months ago, we were on this whole licensing kick when we were first talking about single user terminal server VMs as a free alternative to VDA, and I think we never actually came to a conclusion as to whether or not that was legal or not. And
well, what we determined is you have to have a remote desktop, an RDS cal with those. I think that was the thing, right? So the idea is if you buy the data center edition of Windows Server, that allows you to run as many VMs as possible. So that gives you the actual like core Windows license. And then for your users, so in my article I was saying, hey, now you can connect each user one-to-one. And what we learned is that you can do that, but you also have to have an RDS cal, even though you're not using, these things in.
Well, so that's interesting because that RDS cal that solves one of the VDA issues that I wrote about in this article. Because the issue with VDA is any single device that you bring into the office, any device at all, has to have a VDA license for it. So,
who's you? The company, the user?
Well, that's the problem because the IT department has to have a way to audit or make sure that everybody's in compliance, and the users have to be educated, and so
if we back up, so you got SA, and you buy SA for all your desktops, and now SA includes the VDA rights is built into SA.
Right. So your desktops are fine.
But there's home use rights though too, right? So you can use, so like if I have a desktop, this SA, and then I install the Citrix receiver onto my iPad, then I'm covered with that home use rights or whatever, right?
Right, at home. But you bring that iPad that's perfectly fine at home, you bring that into the office, suddenly that needs another VDA license.
Wait, who brings it in?
The employee. Maybe
Wait, so if I bring my iPad
you bring your iPad into the office.
into the office, but
Your,
how do they?
your personal iPad? How do they know? They don't.
Wait. The literally like Microsoft is if it is in the office.
If it is in the office,
Wait, how do they define office?
that's
Like you mean literally like if my I have SA on my primary device, which gives me VDA. I can use my iPad from home or the train or the hotel. But if I walk in the door of my building with that iPad, now my company is supposed to have a second VDA license specific for that iPad, even though it's my iPad, and they don't even know I'm using it. They just make, terminal server, or, well, it wouldn't be terminal server, but VDI available to me.
That is correct. That's the understanding that's what that we came to. And
Are you fucking...
So it's a device license plus a proximity license plus a user license, all rolled into one batshit crazy.
Are you
licensing
fucking
scheme.
kidding me?
So you're right. Unfortunately, no, I'm not. And this is the one. So I wrote in the article. I consulted with Nathan Coutinho about this. He was on the show about 3 months ago, and I got the idea to write this article because there were a few things out there that I read. That are sort of like, if you allow users to use iPads, your building will collapse and everyone will die. And I'm like, what is this alarmist crap? And I went back to the show that we recorded in November, and we were talking about this VDA and home use rights. And it turns out at the time we were talking about it, but we didn't dig in completely specifically about the situation that you just described, where you bring in your personal iPad or your personal Kindle or whatever, or your mini fridge that runs Android apps. So anyway, I contacted Nathan about this, and we went over it one day, and we were at the first reading of the material, we said, okay, personal devices in the office is okay. That's good under these extended roaming rights, and we said we'll check a couple of things and we'll get back to that. So that's about 2 p.m. that we have that conversation. A little bit later in the day, he's like, okay, I'm going to talk to some other people. Then it's about 8 o'clock my time, 10 o'clock his time, because he's in Chicago, and he's like, let's plan on having another call tomorrow. I found out some new stuff. We need to talk to some more. And then 11 o'clock my time, 1 a.m. his time, I get another email from him, and he's like, man, this stuff is really crazy. Is it too late to submit a Bri-form session?
And so hopefully it's not too late,
yeah.
first of all.
So he did submit a session. So we can get into this more. But
when we had Nathan on here, we talked for, I think we went over our hour, and it was one of the more interesting Brian and Gabe live shows that we've done. Just having Nathan on here with his, I mean, he already had vast knowledge in his head, but still it wasn't enough to explain all of the questions that you were asking.
We just need to have him on once a month.
Young, you have the energy to go after these questions. We just stop giving a shit, and we just do what we think is right.
Oh, I spent like 3 days pulling my hair out trying to figure this out from reading older blog posts from the two of you and reading Microsoft's website. And they have this PDF that you can download that's like, look at these simple scenarios that to explain VDA licensing, and it like has little pictures and diagrams. Like, a company has 100 users, and 50 of them log on from home occasionally, and 25 of them work primarily in the office and are shared. It's kind of like one train leaves Philadelphia going 50 miles an hour, and another train leaves. So, and they're simple scenarios. Like this PDF, there's like 8. Not even using any hyperbole, there's like 8 of these scenarios. Like, which one of these simple scenarios does your solution fall under?
But it sounds like they don't even cover all of the scenarios, because do they talk about
No,
like,
they
to
don't.
be clear, so like, are you sure this is right? First of all, like, this is I guess this is you, the material, and Nathan Cotino, and you feel confident that this is how it, like, this is. If you bring a device